going on, guys? Anth Predicts here. So today I have a new election prediction video for you, and today it's going to be something interesting. It's going to be Daily Wire host and creator Ben Shapiro, conservative podcast person. I'm sure most of you have heard of him. If not, check him out. Going up against the founder of the Young Turks, TYT, and currently a candidate for Congress, which is pretty interesting, Cenk Uygur. So I thought this would be an interesting video to do and kind of do an election prediction of two people who are on the opposite of political spectrums. Ben's considered to be more on the far right, far conservative side of it, and Cenk's on the more progressive, far left side of it. So with that said, let's get into the election prediction. So I think Cenk will win the West Coast pretty handily. I also think New Mexico would be safe in this one because Ben Shapiro, a lot of his stuff he says, facts don't care about your feelings and stuff. He spits the facts. He's not going to win an appeal with a lot of Hispanics too much. So that would happen. I think, however, actually I'll come back to Arizona, but right now Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North and South Dakota, all of Nebraska except Nebraska's 2nd District will go to Ben Shapiro. Kansas, Oklahoma. I think Ben Shapiro will do better in Texas than President Trump will. Ben Shapiro will get a lot more regular conservatives who maybe like Trump's policies but don't like his use of Twitter and the rhetoric he gives out. And I think Ben Shapiro will kind of capture that vote perfectly. So Ben Shapiro will pretty much win throughout most of the South. Pretty much like every Republican will. Georgia and Florida will come back to. Cenk Uygur will win in Illinois. He'll win in D.C., Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont. And I think Cenk will win Maine at large and Maine's 1st District. And Maine's 2nd District will come back to. He'll also win the state of New York. Shapiro will probably get around 163. And Cenk Uygur will have 190. So what are the toss-ups? Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, New Hampshire, and Maine's 2nd District. So let's start in the West Coast, or out West, excuse me. Colorado, I think that's going to go to Cenk Uygur. Colorado tends to like the more far left out candidates a little bit. Again, it has John Hickenlooper, who's more moderate, but it also likes Bernie Sanders in the primary. So I think Colorado will go for Cenk. Ben Shapiro, I think he doesn't really have much of an appeal out in Nevada, so I think Nevada will go for Cenk Uygur by about the same margin as how Hillary won it over Trump. Arizona, however, I think will go to Ben Shapiro. Arizona's voters who maybe like, again, Trump's policies but don't like his attitude, so they'll choose not to vote for him. Those people will go back and vote for Ben Shapiro. I think Ben Shapiro can capture kind of Mitt Romney levels in the Republican states like Arizona and Texas and Georgia that Trump didn't. Trump did better in liberal states than Mitt Romney did, but did worse in a lot of Republican states like Arizona, Texas, and Georgia. So I think Ben Shapiro will capitalize on that. So I think he'll win Georgia and North Carolina. I think Florida will go for Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, being an Orthodox Jew, will be able to get a lot of the Jewish vote in places like Florida. And I think Virginia will go to Cenk Uygur. I think it'll be closer in Virginia than people will expect if this is the election, because Virginia is definitely a more Democratic state now, but it's also a more establishment Democratic state. A lot of progressives don't do too well there, which could help Ben Shapiro get some of the votes back that President Trump lost, because Trump is very anti-establishment, where Ben Shapiro doesn't really have that same kind of, position, if you will. However, I think Ohio will still go to Ben Shapiro. I think Republicans in general are pretty well favored in Ohio now. For instance, Mike DeWine winning the midterms in a very winnable governor election for the Democrats. However, the counter argument could be made that, Sherrod Brown won there, and he's the Democratic senator. The GOP put up a pretty bad candidate, and he still came within 6 points. So, you can take from that what you want. Iowa, I think, will go for Ben Shapiro. I think Ben Shapiro will win the state of Iowa, and I think it'll be by about a smaller margin than Trump won it, but I think he'll still win. Nebraska's 2nd, I think, will go for Ben Shapiro. He won't be as divisive as Trump is. Now, this is what Cenk Uygur does have going for him, is Ben Shapiro will not have the same Rust Belt appeal that President Trump will. He just won't. Ben Shapiro isn't a billionaire businessman with kind of a go F yourself attitude. Ben Shapiro doesn't really have that persona. He has facts don't care about your feelings, but facts don't care about your feelings isn't really as big as MAGA. So I think Minnesota, Michigan will go for Cenk. I think Maine second will go for Cenk Uygur as well. I just can't really see Ben Shapiro appealing to the Maine voters like Trump's able to. This could be a surprise. I think Ben Shapiro would actually win New Hampshire. I know this one could be a little divisive, but here's my reasoning. In New Hampshire, there's actually a big Jewish population, especially in northwestern New Hampshire, up by all the ski resorts and ski mountains. For instance, Cannon, Loon mountains. They have the towns of Bethlehem, I think, is one of them. And I know there's a big percentage of Orthodox Jews up there, and I think they'll vote for a candidate like Ben Shapiro, who's also an Orthodox Jew, more than they would vote for, say, someone like President Trump, who says a lot of outrageous stuff that they just don't really agree with. Ben Shapiro, I feel like, will stick more on principle in politics than Trump would, and I think Ben Shapiro would be able to win in places like New Hampshire. Excuse me. So New Hampshire, I would think would go for Ben Shapiro. Pennsylvania, I think will go for Ben Shapiro because Cenk Uygur. The Democrats need to run an establishment Democrat to win a lot of the rural voters back. A progressive like Cenk Uygur will not be able to win the white rural voters, especially after 4 years of Trump and showing how good the economy is. And I think Cenk Uygur will go far, far to the left, obviously, of what Hillary Clinton would do. And Ben Shapiro's policies would be probably relatively similar to Donald Trump's. However, the big thing, Ben Shapiro is not a tariffs guy. Ben Shapiro is very anti-tariff, and I think that would definitely help him out in places like Pennsylvania, like Iowa, and like Ohio. So look for Ben Shapiro to win in places like Pennsylvania by a bigger margin because he's so anti-tariff. And now we come down to the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin's interesting because President Trump's polling very well in Wisconsin, and Ben Shapiro would have a very good chance of winning Wisconsin. Republicans have won there before. For instance, Scott Walker and Paul Ryan, Senator Ron Johnson. So it has a history of electing Republicans. But that being said, they also tend to like the candidates that are more farther to the left or farther to the right. And Cenk Uygur, I don't know why, he seems like a candidate who can win in Wisconsin, who can flip it back. But Wisconsin's really tough for me to choose right now. I don't want to leave it as a toss-up, because I feel like that kind of ruins the video by not assigning one state. But I think for now, I have to give it to Ben Shapiro by a very narrow margin. I think Pennsylvania would be a bigger margin of victory than Wisconsin in this one. I think Cenk Uygur, excuse me, I think Cenk Uygur can easily win the state of Wisconsin. But I can make the same argument for Ben Shapiro too, so I really don't know where to go on that one. But I'll put it in Ben Shapiro's column for now. So, if a Ben Shapiro versus Cenk Uygur presidential election were to happen, which, by the way, technically it can't because Cenk Uygur isn't actually from America, he's from Turkey. But this is all for fun. This is just kind of pitting two political polar opposites at each other who did a debate at Politicon up against each other. Ben Shapiro, I think, would win with 293 electoral votes to Cenk Uygur's 245 electoral votes. I think this would be a very interesting political election if this were to happen. It'd be a lot of fun because it'd be really good for America because you would have two different viewpoints on how we view our country and view politics as a whole going at each other. And I think this would be very good for the country to have someone with a more conservative political approach and someone with a more progressive leftist approach. You would have definitely a discussion of policies and not about bashing and name calling, and I think this would be good for the country to experience. So yeah, that's my prediction video. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'm always open to hearing feedback and stuff for new videos. I really want to hear what suggestions you have for extra videos and stuff coming up. If you have any local races or any state or federal races you want me to look at, or any presidential predictions or stuff like that, please let me know. I'm always looking for ideas. I really appreciate when you leave me video ideas. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Gotta get the subscribers going. I have a subscriber goal. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of 2019. And in a few days, it's already December, so I only got 1 month to try and get about 40 subscribers roughly. So I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe. Also, when you subscribe, make sure you tap the bell icon, because when you do that, you'll get notified whenever I post a video. You can be the first person to like it. Or if you want to be that guy, be the first person to dislike it. Whatever you like. It's up to you. But as long as you get the bell icon, that's really would help this channel out a lot, and I'd really appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching. Please, once again, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.